Hello and welcome back. In this video, we're going to be talking about images and the different ways that we can apply them to our website. This is the part that's really going to start to make our website sizzle. The video here assumes that you've watched another video that talks about the different types, JPEG, PNG, or PNG, and GIF. So the three different types of images, when and where to use them, and the proper resolution and sizing of web images. So this is going to assume that you've watched that video. If you haven't, please go back and watch it. So this one is really just going to focus on adding them. The first thing that we need to do is go out to your desktop or wherever you've got your web files saved. So I'm just going to go over to my Finder. So here is my BioSite Visual Elements folder, and we've just got the About, the Gallery, and the Index. There's my Reset CSS and my Style CSS. I need to create a folder that's going to hold all my images. Technically, the code will work, and I don't have to, but they'd all be free floating in here, and that's just going to get really messy. So it's standard practice to create a folder and call it Images. I've already found some images that I know that I want to use, that I'm going to populate the different pages of my website. So I am just going to pull those in. You're going to see this. It's going to get pulled from off the screen. So there are all my images. They've already been resized, so they're going to be appropriately sized for my web pages. These are going to go on our image gallery. We're finally going to put some images there. We're also going to put an image on each of our homepage and our About Me page. So each of them, you can see, is sized. I made mine at 250 by 250. I would like you to keep your images at 250 pixels wide. The height you can adjust. The reason I'm doing 250 wide is because this will work really nicely to get 3 across on our image gallery page. They're not going to get too huge. So those are all my images, and we're going to then include those. Images are one of the exceptions to HTML of needing an opening and closing tag. Images are all self-contained in one tag. There isn't an opening and closing. It just is. So after I have my images in there, I'm going to come back out here to my index page, and I'm going to place an image in here. I just want to throw this out here that for right now, we haven't gotten into some of the style rules that help us align things to the left and right and allow the text to wrap around. So our website's still going to be very linear top to bottom, and that's okay. And I don't want you playing around with that yet, because we're going to get to that in a few weeks, where we're going to talk about what's called floating and positioning, and that'll help fix this issue, and it'll kind of build our websites up a little even further. I'm going to go in between. I had 2 paragraphs on my homepage. Actually, I had 3. I'm going to go into my right before my second paragraph, so I'm right in between the second and the first. Just give myself a little space. I'm going to create my image tag. So I've got the little opening bracket, and I just type in IMG. That stands for image. In that, the first thing that I need to do then is do SRC. That stands for source. So it's your image source. Where's it coming from? And then with the browse tool, I can double click on that and navigate out to the folder where things are at. So mine happens to be on my desktop under DMT275 web files. And there's my BioSite Visual Elements folder in my images folder. And I'm going to place this really lovely image of me on the home page. This alone, I'm going to close that. And how we close that is the little slash and the little angled bracket. This alone will actually create our image, and there will be nothing wrong with our image. There's another element that I am asking, or requiring, rather, everyone to do. And this is called an alt tag. And what this is, it stands for alternative. What it does is, particularly for people who have visual disabilities, they use readers that read web pages to them. And that includes visual elements. So their reader would come along and say, this is an image. But of course, they can't see the image, or it's very difficult to see the image depending on the extent of their disability. So what it does is the reader comes across, if there's an alt tag, it reads whatever description we put inside of that alt tag saying what the content of that image is. I include it on all of my images. The other thing that it does is these alt tags are also scanned by search engines. So like Google or Bing, they search these alt tags looking for keywords. So that's the other big reason that we want to use alt tags. So it meets visual disabilities. So if you're working for a bigger company, the American Disabilities Act, and it also picks up and helps improve our search engine optimization. So what I am going to do is add this alt equals, and in between the quotes, you can type this like a regular sentence. So you don't have to worry about it being all lowercase or having to have dashes or hyphens. So I'm going to put Chris making a face. There is my alt, and you're not going to see it anywhere, but the readers will see it. The search engines will see it. So I'm going to save this, and we're going to go out to our webpage. And there's my lovely picture. The thing that I discovered I don't like about this when I place it, see how we have this nice margin here, so it's indented a little? What we need to do is I can wrap this image in a paragraph tag. You do not have to, but I am for the purposes of this. So I am going to do a paragraph opening and closing on either side of it. So I'm going to save it. Now I'm going to go back out here and refresh, and there, because it's within a paragraph, it's picking up our margin that we assigned to our paragraphs in a style. So that's how we create an image and how we add an image to the website. But I'm going to do a couple more things. One, I want this image to link people to the image gallery. And we can make hyperlinks out of images very much like we do with text. Because if you recall, looking up here at the top at our menu, we put an ahref tag right here with the page where we want it to go around some text. So there's the opening, there's the text, and there's the closing tag. We do the same thing with images. So let's go in between this paragraph tag, and I'm going to create an ahref. So it's just regular link. There's nothing special about this. I'm going to browse. I'm going to go back, and I'm going to find my image gallery page and link to it. And click open. So there it is. Don't forget the little bracket, or it's not going to work. So then there's my image. This is what I want clickable, so it needs to go in between my tags. So I'll go to the other end of it and close the A. So I'm going to save that again, and we're going to go back out to the browser. So now if I mouse over it, see my cursor turns from the arrow to a finger, indicating that there's a link here. So if I click on this, it takes me to my gallery page. But our gallery page doesn't have anything else added to it right now. So that's what's up next. So let's go add images to our gallery page. I'm going to do this in between the main. And over the course of time, we are going to update these and add some other, not during these videos or this week, but in future weeks, we're going to be fixing this gallery so it presents in a slightly better manner. And I'm just going to put image, source, browse. So I'm going to make sure I'm in the right spot. So I'm in desktop. There's my web files, exercises, there's the folder I want, there's my images. So I'm going to start with this image. And remember, I need an alt tag. So I'm going to put alt. And put in a description. And then I'm going to close up this image tag. / there we go. Self-contained, no opening and closing. It is what it is. So then I'm going to go in and I'm going to just create another one. And I'm asking you to put in 6 images, and please keep them all, like I say, 250 pixels wide, and please keep them of a consistent height. I made mine all square, so they're 250 by 250. I think it just makes a neater presentation for an image gallery than having them change from vertical to horizontal presentations every time. Okay, now I've added all 6 of my images, and notice they're not wrapped in paragraph tags. They're actually just images in here. And I'm going to save this now, and go out to my image gallery page. So it was empty. We're going to click refresh. And there they are. So we have all 6 of them. And notice we can get 3 across. Don't worry about this gap because we're going to fix a little bit of that. It's not going to be perfect, but we're going to fix a little bit of that. Now, the other thing is that we're going to fix is, see, there's no space here around them. There's just this little teeny tiny margin. And we're going to fix that. And I'm going to play around with padding and border to show you a really good example of how to use the box model to create some cool visual elements. So let's go in next. Let's add one last picture because I would like you to add a picture to the About page as well. And in this case, I am going to add a picture up here into this first section, and I'm going to do it right in front of this first paragraph, similar to the fact that I know that these paragraphs have that margin on the left. I'm going to put this particular image in between in between paragraph tags. So I'm going to open and close my paragraph tags, and then I'm going to do my image. And I would like this particular image to relate to whatever you talk about. It doesn't have to be of you, but it has to talk or it has to relate to the topic of your passion. And we'll add our alt tag. And I'm going to save it. So now if we go out to our About page, there should be an image there. And again, don't worry about the fact that you've got a paragraph here and this big gap right here and then this. We're not going to worry about that because we're going to fix that in later weeks. So the last thing here relating to adding images to our actual document is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to style these images and making use of that box model like I promised. So I'm going to go into my styles and I am going to say I want this to affect all of my images, not just selective images. If you wanted selective images, you could do class, but we're going to do for this assignment, we're going to make all of our images this way. So IMG, so that's our image tag, and I'm going to open it and close it, and we are going to do some padding of 10 pixels. I'm going to go all the way around with 10 pixels. We're going to give it a background color. You're like, well, we're not going to see the background, right? Because there's an image there. We will because we added padding all the way around. So I'm going to go background color. I'm going to make it white. And then I'm going to add a border. And I'm going to add a fairly thick border. So we're just going to use that shortcut for border. And we're going to do 2 pixels, solid. In this part, I mean, I want you to add the padding and a background color and a border. It doesn't have to be in the same colors. Please match the color scheme of your site. And I'm going to save that. So this should affect every image that's on my website. So I'm going to go back to my browser and I'm going to refresh. And there it is. So this is the padding. We're actually seeing the padding on the outside of the image. That's the outside of our box. And then there would be a margin here too, but we haven't done that yet. So let's go look at our image gallery. And notice how they all now have these nice little boxes around them, but they're still close together. So the padding is inside the box. Because if you remember from the video that talks about the box model, we had margin, border, padding, and then the element. So now we need to add some margin to these so that they're separated, but we don't want to apply it to every one of our images. So we're going to create a class style. So I'm going to come back to my styles.css and create a class style, and I'm going to call it gallery because I only want to apply this to my images in my gallery. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to apply margin that goes all the way around. So I'm just going to use margin and go 10 pixels. I'm going to save it, and then I need to go into my gallery and apply the class. Now you can apply the class anywhere inside of the image tag. I tend to do it right up at the front. So I'm going to do class. And because I already created the style, it's in my list. And don't forget your closing quotes and then a space. So this is now what each of them will look like. So you'll have class equals gallery, source equals, and then it'll find your image, your alt tag equals, and then the text. But this is all still This is one image tag. So I'm actually going to make my life easy and just copy this and paste it to the rest of them. And I'm going to make sure I get that little space in between. Otherwise it's going to get things messed up. Okay. So here we go. Almost. So now what I'm doing is I'm applying margin, which goes to the outside of my box model. So I saved that. If I go back out here and refresh, there. And so technically this is actually 20 pixels in between because there's 10 all the way around the outside of each image. And so in between here, there's actually 20. So in the next video, which will be our last and final video in this set, we're going to work with background images. And that's going to get our site as far as we're going to take it for this particular week. So hopefully you've seen there's a wide array of visual elements that we can play with. So stay tuned. We'll see you in the next video.